This is not going to be my best work. And I have to be content with that. I have to be content with the fact that I'm not here to deliver perfection, but I'm here to work through a block that has existed, and I'm going to do just that. So, we are going to do this regardless of how I feel about the quality of everything that I'm about to produce. Universe, give me strength. Hello, human beings who find their way onto the internet. Welcome to a world with no end. I am your host, Alan. Welcome back if you're a returning listener. Welcome if you're somebody new. I apologize for the lack of content, mostly because I have been in a really terrible place mentally, and that has not worn off. I am not about to say I'm better, but I feel like I'm currently in a space where I need some form of creative outlet for me to, you know, make sense of the insanity that is in my mind. And I'm going to do this by continuing with the Citizens Dive. So, in today's episode, we're going to do a double feature because I realized that I was giving myself way too much work by wanting to do a song, an episode, when some of the songs are like really short and they can be inculcated into a single episode with another song. For example, the song we're going to start with, Thick and Thin. Thick and Thin is like 2 minutes and 42 seconds, and its message is very simplistic. It doesn't need that much analysis. So it was way too much work for me to do Thick and Thin as one thing, then do the next song as another thing. So I don't know, depending on the song, you'll get double features. On today's episode, you're going to get a double feature. One, because Thick and Thin is like really short and easy to explain. But two, I really feel like I want to talk about anybody else right now in the current headspace that I am in. And if I don't do it now, then when I do eventually do it at a different date, it's not going to be what I want it to be. So now that we have that introduction and all that ramble out of the way, let's get into Thick and Thin. So, Thick and Thin starts off with the following lyrics. I'm going to do like the whole first verse and explain it in one go. So it starts, you wake up and you try to breathe. You ask yourself, what's wrong with me? You're broken like you've never been. You try but lose again. I know you've got no doubt. And you see. Did I read that right? Oh, I know you've got doubt. Oh gosh. I know you've got doubt and you see no way out, but I promise you this. So like that was the first verse and the pre-chorus. Um I advise you to listen to the song as always because I'm not about to embarrass myself by singing, and I am admittedly too lazy to play the track. So yeah, listen to the song. So very simply, this describes a situation where you are on the outside looking in. So you remember how in RIP Love we were at this point of saying goodbye to love, and I'm detaching myself from the situation and I am the heartbreaker, etc., etc. And I told you in the first instance that I read Citizens as a story. So this is part two of that story. You are now in the phase of the story where you've gone past the RIP mentality of, leave me be, I will hurt you, to you are now the person who's caring the most. So you're watching this person who you care about, be it a friend, be it a family member, be it a lover, whatever the case may be, you're watching their struggles, right? And you know that they're breaking down, they're hurting inside, and they're really going through a lot. And they keep trying, but things just aren't working out for them. And you see that from the outside looking in. And that's why we go to the I know you've got doubt and you see no way out. Like you can tell that they have doubt in their ability to pull through a particular situation, and you can see that their judgment is clouded by their own darkness. But you come in with, but I promise you this, which is sort of like this very generic but very much needed thing that I think a lot of us who care about people do, where we want to be sort of like not necessarily saviors, but we want to be there for the people we care about. So you make people promises, right? So, but I promise you this. Then we get into the chorus. When it's dark as it's ever been, and you feel like you're on your end. I will be there through thick and thin. When you feel like you just can't win and the shadows are creeping in, I will be there through thick and thin. So this is just you, the person who is watching this whole scenario, declaring that, you know what, I really don't understand the depths of what you're going through, because you can never truly understand the depths of how a person feels about a particular situation, no matter how much you sympathize or empathize. You can never truly understand how deep the feelings they feel are. But regardless of that fact, you want to be there for them. And that is what that chorus is. It's a declaration of, I don't care what you go through, but I want you to know that whatever you go through, I will be there for you, you know? And I think that's a very beautiful sentiment. It's something that I kind of try to live by. I think some of the people who are friends with me, like, know that, maybe to my own detriment sometimes, but they know that I will try my best to be there for them when they need it. So that is the chorus in essence, you know. I'm going to be there for you, whatever it is. And when you feel your own light dimming down, I will be there to be that spark and the light in a world that is dark. And explaining all of this now, I just think about me saying something similar to my ex. I think it was a month into our relationship, and I said something along the lines. You know, we were having a conversation about mental health or something along that vein. And, you know, they mentioned the fact that, you know, things weren't really good for them in mentally. And I said something along the veins of, you know what, I know we're used to me being the dark, cynical one, but in this case, I think you need light, and I can find it within myself to be light for you. And yeah, that was an experience. Right. Moving on. So then we go to this like sort of outro to the chorus. What do people call that in actual music? I don't know, but like there's the outro to the chorus. Lean on me, lean on me, lean on me. Calm down, talk to me, talk to me, talk to me. I don't know why I'm repeating it in threes, but oh well. I'm here now. I can be your light when your light goes down. Then we go again. Lean on me, calm down, talk to me. I'm here now. I can be your light when the light grows dim. And I feel like I already explained that part, but quite literally, it's you must lean on me, you know, get comfortable, lean on me, hold on to me, talk to me, because I am here for you, and I am going to be there for you to be the light, to be the voice that you need when you are struggling. I want to be that for you, and you know, I need you to trust that I'll be there for you. Type of reasoning. That makes sense, right? Then we move into the second verse. You're just too tired, you can't pretend, feel like a stranger in your skin, and I can see it in your stare. I wish you knew how much I care. The dogs of my neighbor and my own dog and other dogs are really barking out of control. So I am so sorry for that. I don't even know why they're barking. Breathe, Alan. Breathe. Right. Back to what we were doing. I'm sorry for the dogs. You're just too tired, you can't pretend, feel like a stranger in your skin, and I can see it in your stare. I wish you knew how much I cared. So I think there is this point within any relationship or context where you can feel that someone is detaching emotionally and mentally and everything, right? Where you can tell that they feel off, or they themselves are off, and you can feel it. I do not know the best way to describe this, because there is no right way of describing this feeling. But sometimes people don't have the energy to hide their pain, right? Because I know in circumstances in real life, there are times where people look at me and they're like, "Oh, Alan, you really look the way that I think you feel," because I don't have the energy to hide it. Normally, I have the energy to hide it. I think a lot of the times, as people, we don't want to bother people with how we feel, so we find the energy to hide how we feel. But here it's like you're too tired to pretend. You can see that this person is too tired to pretend, and that's why their emotions are so apparent to you. They don't have the energy to hide that, and you can read it at face value that this is what this person is going through right now at this particular moment. That is what they're going through. You can see it for what it is, right? And feel like a stranger in your skin is, I think it's that imposter syndrome that we sometimes get, or the imposter syndrome that you can sometimes see in people. Again, I'll use myself as an example. I don't perceive myself as smart. I think the very idea of me being intelligent is, you know, far-fetched, but other people perceive me as smart, and it just creates this weird dissonance in myself where you see this and I see this, and there's now this weird perception of self, and I don't know what is what, and it's like I'm a stranger in my own head. So similarly, sometimes you're just a stranger in your own skin. You don't understand what is going on with yourself, and yeah, you're just a stranger. So this is not about you though, it's about the person. You can see that this person feels this dissonance, and you see it in maybe their body language, in the changes. Well, this lyric makes it very specific that you can see it in their eyes, that this much has changed in them. And the last part of the second verse is, I wish you knew how much I cared. So you want this person to know that you care, regardless of how they are feeling, you know. Then we move back into that pre chorus. I know you've got doubts and you see no way out. Because, again, these problems seem so major and what is the word I'm looking for? These problems like seem so big beyond your scope of understanding because you don't know how deep it is. So at the end, it's like so difficult for you to comprehend everything, but you still want this person to know that you care. So we then move in back into that message of the pre-chorus, not the pre-chorus, the chorus, and the little outro to the chorus, the whole when it's dark as it's ever been, wada wada wada. The no matter how much your darkness grows, I want you to know that I will be there for you and I want you to lean on me. So you can sort of see this like progressive growth. We've grown from this person who perceives themselves as toxic, as I don't think I'm good for you and I will hurt you, to a person who has found a relationship where they care a lot, and they genuinely want to do as much as they possibly can for the other person in the relationship so that everything works for both of them, in the end, right? So it's now a situation where you're caring. So that is the progression of the story from RIP to Thick and Thin. You go from somewhat uncaring to learning to care. I could almost say caring too much, because at a point where you're telling someone, let me be the light of in your darkness, etc., etc., like it requires a certain level of self-sacrifice sometimes to dedicate yourself that much. But I think when you go from an extreme of absolutely not caring or perceiving yourself as this toxic being to finding yourself in a scenario where you care a lot, it is very easy to jump to extremes. But at the same time, don't think of thick and thin as like overly extreme, because there there is beauty in caring about someone to that extent. I mean, it's nice to care about someone that way, to be like, I want to be there for you. I think the most important takeaway message is be there for the people that you care about, right? And that is a beautiful message, if not for the next song, because anybody else is a tearjerker. Oh gosh, Just to get this out of the way, Anybody Else is like my favorite song on Citizens. Like it's my favorite. I will belt this song around the whole house. I don't care how much it's out of my vocal range or anything. It will really, really like be that song that gets to me whenever I listen to it. It's like that one song I will not skip under any circumstance. Right. That's it. Let's get into Anybody Else. Anybody Else starts off like this. Say you love me. Are you lying? Break me just to fix me. Keep me holding on. When you're lonely, I come running. But anytime I need you, then you're gone. Like it's gone times three. Yeah, you're gone. This this describes certain friendships that I've had and friendships that I'm pretty sure some of you have had where what people say and what people do not match up. You know, the words are saying something else, but the actions don't match up. So this person is really laying it thick on you that, oh, I care about you so much and I love you. But you cannot believe that because their actions speak the opposite. Because they will do everything in their power, whether it's intentional or unintentional, to hurt you, but then they'll do the things that, sort of build you back up and fix you. And you're like, oh, maybe it's not as bad as I think it is. And this person is just going through a few things, right? So, yeah. So they create this push and pull cycle. And yeah, in this push and pull cycle, you then become addicted to this person. When you're lonely, I come running. But anytime I need you, you're gone. So it's simply just that when this person is going through the most, you are there for them. But when the roles reverse, silence, or maybe not even silence, but the reaction that you get from them is so uncharacteristic or very much the opposite of what you actually need. My ex best friend was this person. And, you know, for almost 2 years, 18 months to be specific, I was there for him whenever he needed me. Whether it was an ex giving him trouble, friends giving him trouble, family issues, I was there. I don't like phone calls. People who know me know I do not like phone calls. I would be on 1 hour, 2 hour phone calls with this person, even video calls, mind you. I don't like being seen on camera. This is exactly why I do this way. I don't like being seen on camera, right? So I was there, but let it be me with the tiniest problem. It's taking hours to reply. It's, it's weird responses, not the responses that you need or what you need at that time. It's just being attacked or it's minimalizing of your problem. And yeah, it was just a lot. So yeah, when you need them, they barely show up or they don't show up at all. But when they need you, you're there. So we go into the chorus. I wouldn't wish this love on anybody else, wish that you were anybody else, then I'd be on my way. Let me stop there. I'll continue later. So I don't think anybody wants this kind of love in their life where you care about a person this deeply. Remember how I said thick and thin is like almost caring way too much, right? Right? So you wouldn't wish this kind of love on anybody else because it's almost too much. It hurts you in a way that is unfathomable. Caring about this person hurts you and it's an unfathomable amount of pain, and you wish that it was somebody else at the end of the day. Like you really wanted to be somebody else so you can leave, because you know that if you're being treated this way by any other person, it would be so easy for you to walk away. But because it's this one very particular person, you you find it so difficult to walk away, right? How could I be so dumb? I'd say run to anybody else, easy when it's anybody else. So tell me why I stay. So again, this hits heavy because, you know, this scenario that I'm describing is sort of like when you're that friend who everybody goes to for advice when they have a toxic partner, toxic friends, toxic family. You're there to tell them that no, avoid them, don't interact with them, don't do XYZ, run away, like run as far as possible in the opposite direction from this situation. Don't allow yourself to be treated that way. You can say all of this to somebody else because it's so much easier when it's anybody else, right? It's that much easier when it's anybody else. But when it's now you who has to be confronted with that situation, it's that much harder because I know my ex will listen to this and I'm sorry. Because, yeah. But, anyways, with my ex, hey, it was a situation of I care about my ex, truly, genuinely, a decent human being, but communication skills are lacking. I could be on the verge of I could have been on the verge of a suicide attempt in the context of our relationship. I'm like, hey, I need you to call my parents because I can't tell them this. I need you to intervene or something. Or I don't know. I'm exaggerating the scenario for dramatic effect. But like, I could be in the middle of an emotional breakdown or something and be like, hey, I need you so that I have someone to work through this with because I don't really have anybody else to talk to. I just need you for like 5 minutes to deal with this. For the life of me, communication was not a thing. That message will be seen an hour later after I have dealt with everything by myself. So when it comes to communication things, I usually tell people that if your partner, your friend cannot communicate, run, leave them, run away. Tell me why it was me sitting there. I'm like, you know what? It's okay. And I think it was okay because like there were some improvements made while we were dating, but communication was still lacking. I will not lie. So yeah, that was the situation. Because when it's anybody else, I can say, oh, communication is a big deal. Someone you must be with someone who you can talk to. But when it was now me, busy making excuses. See what this thing called love does to people? Right. Then we move on to the second verse. Can we go back to a time when you were just a stranger and my heart was strong? It's a cruel love, never ending. Looking here for something, but it's gone. Yeah, it's gone. Right. So, where did we start? Can you go back to a time when you were just a stranger and my heart was strong? So, it's at this point where you have fallen so deeply and intricately, and your heart is so grossly invested in this person that it physically hurts to think about them, to be near them, everything in the in between. It hurts, right? So, this is now you saying, can we please go back to a time when things were different, when things didn't hurt as much, when I was a stronger person and I could handle this? When you were a stranger, when you were not in my life, and again with the dogs. And now that the dogs have stopped barking, as I was saying, you want to go back to a point in time in your life before you met this person, before they broke down your defenses and everything in the in between. You really want to just go back. I would say go back to the mentality that you had in RIP Love, where it was so easy for you to detach from everything and be more focused on self than it was than anything else really. So you want to go back to that before you met this person who could break your defenses so easily, right? You want to just go back. And it's a cruel love and never ending. I think when you fall for someone like that who is sort of like the first person to break most of your defenses that you have as an individual, it leaves a mark on you. You know, your first significant love leaves a mark on you. And yeah, it's kind of cruel when you think about it, because how can you care about a person this much, and in the context, and while caring about them, it sort of hurts you also in the process. So it's kind of cruel, the double-edged sword that love has. And how it's never ending is that I personally believe, you don't have to share this belief, but I personally believe that there are some people who you never truly get over. I mean, you can move on with your life, you can acknowledge the hurt that they gave you can acknowledge that, you need to move on from this person to some capacity, but somewhere within the depths of your heart, there will always be that part of you that genuinely loves this person, right? And that kind of love is never ending because it leaves a mark, right? So, looking here for something, it's like you know that this person will hurt you or they might hurt you, and you're still looking for something there. You still think you can salvage the relationship that you have with them. But the truth is, those emotions, those feelings, it's gone, or at least maybe on their part, it's gone, and they don't feel as strongly as they used to about you when you first got into everything. So that's now gone. So you go back to wishing that nobody feels the way that you do, because it is a terrible feeling to have so much almost unrequited love, I'd say, because the whole underlying theme here is it's almost mostly one sided. You know, the care, the love, the affection, it has almost become completely one sided, and it hurts, but you don't want to leave because you don't think you'll ever be in a place of receiving that much affection again. So all of it hurts, and you wouldn't wish that on anybody. I, I am known to be an occasionally spiteful person, and I wouldn't wish that kind of love on my worst enemies, because I know what it feels like as a person who has had like 3 4 unrequited loves in my lifetime, where it was just me feeling my feelings for this person and telling the people, and the people shutting me down. It's a terrible feeling to have, and I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemies, because that sucks in the end, right? So you wouldn't wish that on anybody else. And you wish that the person who you were with in this context was somebody else, because you can leave if it's anybody else. It's so easy to leave when it's anybody else. But because it's this one person, it's so difficult for you to detach yourself from all of that. Right. So then we go into the, can you really call it a bridge? I don't think you can really call it a bridge. But yeah, where it's a repeat of With You, but sung in head voice. I don't think it has any the being sung in head voice really doesn't have, any more significant, doesn't add anything to it. I just feel like at the end of the day, it's just emphasis on this being stuck in this cycle with you before we do the chorus one more time. But the chorus has this really big, powerful climax where it, inculcates the fact that I'm being hurt, but I'm going to stay anyways because I care that much. So that is Anybody Else for You. It's a tearjerker. I will not lie, personally, when I first listened to Anybody Else for like the first 10 times, I cried. And on occasion, I still do cry when I listen to Anybody Else, because it really speaks to a part of my heart. So, yeah, but that is episode. Why did I even call the first episode? I called the first episode episode point 5 because it was like a test. I guess this makes this episode 1 and two combined or just episode one. I don't know. But yeah, this was the double episode featuring Thick and Thin and anybody else. Thank you for listening this far. And